Hello, I'm Ron Choppy, Director of Communications for USTA Southern. That's the southern section that encompasses 9 states in the Southeast, and we are the largest of the 17 USTA sections, representing 25% of the members. What we're going to do today is chat with 2 of the leaders of the Atlanta Team Tennis Association. They are an LGBT tennis community, and they are out of Atlanta. So we're doing this for Pride Month this June, and very happy to have them join us and talk a little bit about the organization in tennis. So, Bo, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name's Talley, and I'm the current president of ADA, and I've been playing tennis since I can remember. I have been involved with ADA and on the board. This is my 10th year being involved, and I'm just very proud to be associated with ADA.
And Lynn?
I also have been playing tennis since I was 5, which was almost 50 years ago. And I've been with ADA for about 20 years, since I first came out. And I've been on the board. This is my 4th year on the board. I'm the team coordinator and charity liaison.
Great. So let's go back to when the Atlanta Team Tennis Association was founded. Tell us about who, when, and how it was formed to the best of your recollection.
Yes, ADA was first formed in 1987, and some of the earlier presidents were Eric Keys and Tony Lance. And my understanding is that before being officially formed, at the very roots of the organization, there was a telephone chat line, which my understanding was a precursor to America Online chat rooms, if you remember what those are. Mm-hmm. So that was the very beginning of ADA back in 1987, and we still have some of those members who are involved today. Some of the people who, from the very beginning, Kathy May, who was one of our board members until very recently, and Mark Dukes, who's a past ADA president. Some of these folks have been around for a long time, and they're still involved.
And Lynn, you said you go back, what, about 20 years? Do you remember what the organization was like at that point?
I probably first joined in the early 2000s, and we were playing our tournaments out of Glendale Tennis Center there. They only have 5 courts, and that was the Chattahoochee tournament, which takes place in March. And so, you know, the tournament was smaller than it is now. We're holding it at Piedmont Park, or a place with a minimum of 12 to 16 courts. So it was a little bit smaller, but as a person newly coming out, it was just really a lifesaver for me. Just wonderful. We moved over to Bitsy for a little bit, and I just saw some folks that I knew from my various leagues, and it was just a wonderful experience.
That's great. Well, are the founders still in the group? But it sounds like when we're going back that far, it's maybe very unlikely they aren't. So, either of you know?
Yeah, I don't think any of the founders are, but some of the earliest participants and members are still involved. So, like I said, some of those people have been involved with the board over the years. Like I said, Mark Dukes, he's a past president. Kathy May, she was involved from the very beginning. And I think one of the ways she got involved, my understanding is there was actually a separate group for the women at early on, and that ADA was originally just a men's group. But the trend over the years has been to the 2 groups merged early on, and since then it's been more and more involvement from women in the Atlanta tennis community.
Great. And so, how many members do you have now, and have the member totals changed over the years?
Well, right now we have 147 members, which is a little bit on the low side for us, actually. One of the reasons for that is, as Lynn mentioned, we have our Chattahoochee Classic doubles tournament every March, but that also doubles as a membership renewal drive. And unfortunately, due to situation with COVID, we were not able to have that tournament. So we've been having to slowly rebuild our membership renewal. Typically, though, we have around 300 members a year. So we've had very good participation in ATA since I've been involved. And I would say about 25 to 30% of our membership is women, and then the rest are men.
And so I want to get an approximate breakdown of your membership, gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, and straight, and if that has radically changed over the years. So can you give me an idea there?
We don't really keep those kind of statistics, so we just kind of go on based on what we see.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the vast majority are members of the LGBTQ community, but we also have a healthy percentage of folks who are not actual members of the community, but are supporters and allies of the community. And some of those members have been with us for a very long time, and we treasure them equally.
Great. So you mentioned the Chattahoochee Doubles Classic, and that was played this year. Is that correct, Lynn? You mentioned it.
No, we had it in 2020. This is the most recent one, March of 2020. We had it, I think, 1 week before the official shutdown when transatlantic flights were banned. And so we congratulated ourselves and felt like our timing was perfect. It was just really a wonderful way to be together, and it has sustained us over the year, really. We have decided to hold the beach tournament, which is Labor Day. So we obviously weren't able to hold that last year. So this will be our first tournament post-COVID. So we're just looking forward to it tremendously.
So great. And my next question rolls into that. Is about how many people do you expect to play the Beach International Tennis Championships?
Well, generally I would say we averaged the last 8 or 9 years, 10 years, about 150 people. However, this year, we're not sure, because one thing is it's an international tournament. Like it says, we do have people who come from out of the country. We might not have that situation this year, but we definitely have I would say about a third of the participants are usually from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
People are so ready to get back into playing tennis tournaments that we are far outpacing our usual registration rate. At this point, we have a lot more people signed up than we normally would in this process. We just opened up registration over Memorial Day weekend. We might actually have to cap the number of people because there's been so much interest early on. But generally, yes, about 150 players is about what we have.
That's great to hear. So, when you describe this tournament to people, and we all know how huge of a tennis town Atlanta is, I mean, do you tell people it's one of the biggest, it's one of the most important? How do you describe the Peach tournament?
Well, the Peach is just about as old as ATA. So we do tell them that it's one of the oldest tournaments in the Atlanta area. We also brag about our trophies. We have some of the most beautiful solid glass Peach trophies. That is one of the reasons people actually come to play our tournament from out of town. They want those trophies really bad. I know Lynn has some, and I have some, and everyone who has them is very proud of them. I think most people have them displayed in their homes, at least where somebody can see them when they come in. Mm-hmm. But we also tell people that it's a very competitive tournament. We have all different levels from open down to 2.5 USTA. We look at USTA ratings when we place people. And we also have one of the largest women's draws in GLTA tournaments. So we have men's and women's and mixed doubles. And so there's really an event for everybody. A lot of people sign up and they get to play 3 different events. And so they get plenty of tennis. But of course, we also tell them that this is one of the most fun, relaxed, welcoming social events of the year that ATA puts on too. So, and then of course we note that one of the reasons we have the tournament is to raise money for our charities. So the proceeds from the tournament go to our charity.
So, Linda, obviously you've played a lot and done well. Kind of describe the atmosphere and the vibe at the Peach.
Well, I would say I'm the self-appointed greeter at the Peach. I like to meet people, especially the ones from out of town, tell them hello. We go to tournaments in other cities and internationally as a group. A bunch of us go. We just, like a pack, we just have such a nice time. And I see how it is in other cities. When people welcome me, I just really appreciate it, because anytime you're traveling, for tennis or not, meeting people who are local is so important. So I like to really greet all the people who come from. Some people drive from South Carolina, and some people from international places, but they just really appreciate it. And we like to give each other gifts. For example, if I have a mixed partner, that's a blind date, we call it, blind date, I'll bring an Atta shirt for him. And if I have a women's partner, same thing, blind date, we give them gifts. And then when we travel, we give them Atlanta gifts. It's just a wonderful, wonderful. We have food there, we have lunch, we have bagels, and come early, stay all day, bring your partner, bring your, bring whoever's in town. It's just a wonderful. The most fun you'll have standing up. I just said it.
That's great. So the LGBT community seems to be more ingrained now into Americans' culture than ever before. Is that accurate? And you feel that your community is generally better accepted in comparison to 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Oh, I would agree with that. One of the ways that I actually became involved with ADA was I was on an Atlanta team that was in the playoffs, and it was made up of some hometown acquaintances. And we ended up playing a team that I later learned was an ADA team. I hadn't even heard of ADA before. This was in 2006, and it was a really close competitive encounter. But unfortunately, that was when I learned a little bit more about some of my teammates than I wanted to know. I heard some derogatory statements, homophobic, I would say, and racist on top of it. And I thought, well, gee, I just can't believe I'm hearing this. And so that was actually one of the reasons that I left that team. And that's how I became involved with ADA. I was so happy to know that an organization like ADA exists. Now, I have not had that experience since then. That was 15 years ago. So I think that as far as my personal experience, I would say that's an indication that things have improved. Now, we have another member who was just telling us that he's become involved. He's moved outside of the metro area. So he's been involved with a team in Cherokee County. And he said that that his team has accepted him. They know all about him. They tell him, please bring your fiance to your matches. We'd love to meet him and stuff like that. So as far as personal experience, I think things have gotten better, definitely.
And Lynn,
Yeah, I feel like since gay marriage was legalized across the nation, it's really, really been an endorsement for gay relationships. It's really, I think I've had no incidents since then, and people really, are excited. Oh, how wonderful, you have a wife, this and that. Prior to that time, I did have several incidents myself, and my wife, who's our captain of the team. We have some incidents. And the thing about homophobia, like any type of hatred, is that it can be cloaked. It doesn't have to be so overt. It can be just very subtle, and you're not sure, what's the problem here. Like, is this person giving me the cold shoulder, or are they having a bad day? Was that comment homophobic, or were they just trying to be funny? It could be subtle, which is difficult and bad. But I feel like on the sports teams on the tennis court, the playing field is equalized, and it's all about who's the better player. And I will respect you if you can, play like a good sport and beat me, and vice versa. If you could, if you lose to me and you're still a good sport, I will respect you, and the feeling's mutual. it's just a wonderful, freeing, just really, strengthening experience.
Great. So a couple of the other questions I had given to you basically talk about some of the things that we just talked about. But again, were there, you both mentioned some incidents where you felt were really positive and negative, and if you could maybe elaborate on both when you felt very included and when you didn't. Maybe a little bit more about that.
Well, I can speak to a time that I was playing women's doubles at an away court, and this is a court we hadn't been to before. I haven't been there since. And my partner was named Ellen, and our opponent said, Ellen Degenerate. And we just said like this. And then she repeated it. She said it again, Ellen Degenerate. And I mean, I regret to this day that we didn't say, well, what do you mean by that? That comes across as offensive. I mean, something not too aggressive, but just kind of calling her on that. I regret that, and that was, a clear, homophobic incident. And I'll say another incident when we were at a club close to us that we go to almost every season. And my wife and her long-term mixed partner were playing against, a pair. And the male opponent said to Adam, my wife's partner, "Is that your wife?" Referring to me. And then my wife said, no, that's my wife. And I think these really subtle, indicators like, this is what's acceptable. A male and female couple is what's acceptable. And he's not being overt either. He's, way too, classy, so to speak, to be overt. But these are subtle ways people enforce the social norms. And, we didn't care for it. And she said, that's my wife. And they said, oh, okay, blah, blah. And, it's good we got that out there. I'll say that as one of the team coordinators, when people move to Atlanta from out of town, that's, I consider it my responsibility to welcome them not only to Atlanta Tennis, but to Atlanta. And a person emailed me recently, and he and his husband live in Alpharetta. And, I answered his questions. He wants to meet more gay people, the events and this and that. And then I said to him, even though you've moved to the deep south from California, I think it's important for you to know that you can be out in all situations. People can handle that. The people you meet are, my age. It's well past. I mean, people have heard the news, right? You can be out. And what he described to me is they were afraid to move to the state where Marjorie Taylor Greene is located. He said that. And, I know it's a concern for people. So we do buoy each other. We do, support each other and have those meaningful conversations. But at the same time, a lot of our teams we play on, both within Alta and within USTA, are mixed, gay, straight, and whoever. And our opponents are often the same situation, some gay, some straight. And so, I mean, of course, we live right in the city. We live in the city of Decatur. So it might be a different story if I was coming from, the excerpts.
Okay, great. And Bo, maybe you could talk specifically about some of the positive experiences you mentioned. You mentioned something earlier. Maybe you could elaborate on that.
Well, as far as the experience that I had, like I said, it's very unsettling when you're on a team with people that you've known for on and off for years, but then you learn things you wish you, I guess, had known earlier, or rather not honestly know at all, and then it forces you to rethink. Well, gee, I don't think I'm going to be accepted on this team, but. I think the difference now, I think there must have been some progress. I mean, obviously I don't know what the other team is saying about me that I can't hear. The situation I described, I just happened to be like a mole at that time because I was on the same bench as those folks. But in USTA and Alta, you tend to play the same teams and see the same people, season after season, which is nice in a way, because then you feel like you are part of a larger community in Atlanta. and you just get to know these folks, and they get to know you. And I can't, you never know unless you ask somebody, but either they're just already accepting, or else maybe they've learned to be accepting over time because things have changed.
Mhm.
And of course, one of the ways things have changed is people have become more comfortable being out with their lives. And one that's one thing that's been different with since the beginning of ADA. At the beginning of ADA, we had a lot of members who used aliases because they were worried about their names getting out. We didn't freely post pictures from events because there's the concern about people were going to be identified. That's completely different now. We actually have had a member on occasion who has an alias, and people's individual circumstances are different. But on the whole, now that's just not a concern of ours. We do have some sort of sensitivity to the fact that some folks might not want their picture taken, but most of the time, it's not really an issue. And so I think we're very lucky to live in the time where that's where we are. I think it's more of a product of the way the community is in Atlanta as opposed to Georgia as a whole. But it wasn't always this wonderful in Atlanta, so I think things are definitely getting better.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit more about tennis. I saw that the Glendale Tennis Center was on your website. Is that the equivalent of your home courts? You mentioned the one of the tournaments was played there.
I wouldn't say that there are home courts, but they have been supportive of ADA since the very beginning. One thing, one of our events that is one of our big membership benefits is open play, and every Saturday afternoon we have a doubles mixer where everybody, all of our different levels, people come together and just play and switch partners and socialize. It's unfortunately one of the things that we had to halt because of COVID, but the majority of the time we've had this event every Saturday until COVID. It's been hosted at Glen Lake. They've always been very welcoming to us, and ever since, like I said, the beginning. And also, the Glen Lake hosts a City of Decatur tournament every May, and ADA has always been supportive of that tournament, and our members play the tournament. So they've been intertwined with us since the very beginning.
And what are your plans for the future, especially after COVID? Do you have any different tournaments or different programs that you're looking at? How about Lynn, if you could?
Yeah. One thing we did this year that's been very successful is Nick Woodbury, who I believe you know, has organized a mixed round robin type event. So I'm at the B level, and there are 8 teams total. So I'll play 7. I've already played 7 matches. This is something we created new this year, which is tremendously exciting because, we don't have the open play opportunity. We couldn't do Chattahoochee, but it's been a wonderful way to get together with folks and just, so to create something new. It's just so inspiring. And then this summer, as always, we host a women's doubles ladder, men's doubles, and then a singles ladder of all genders. And that's something we've always done. And the attendance, the participation has been unprecedented. And then last year we did, of course, we had Zoom parties, but going forward, we are going to have the Peach this year, and we're, inviting folks internationally. I think we're going to be only about the 3rd GLTA tournament to resume post-pandemic. So, we're proud of that too. It would be easy to say it's not a good time, but we're proud of that. And I think the course we've been on has been tremendously successful. We have an end of year banquet, which is so much fun. We'll probably, resume our normal activities insofar as anyone can, right?
Right. And so tell me a little bit more about this overarching organization, and also how that affects, does that, make a network of clubs that you know about and work with, or especially in the South?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that whole question.
Well, tell me a little bit more about the overarching organization. I think GLT.
Oh, the GLTA.
Right.
Oh, yes.
And how your relationship with them, how they work, and also any other organizations that you know of in the South that are in the community.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that briefly. I mean, the GLTA is a wonderful organization. They have their own board. It's an international organization. They have board members, I think, from 5 continents, and they have male and female, and they do their own meetings. And so our tournaments are GLTA sanctioned. And we've been, like myself, my wife, and our little gang have been to San Francisco, Paris, Amsterdam, San Antonio, all to play different GLTA tournaments. And I believe all of the tournaments are USTA sanctioned. So, the USTA rankings, everyone goes by the USTA rankings. One experience we've had maybe consistently is that if I'm a 3-5 and I'm playing against 3-5s, I feel like other folks, their 3-5s are stronger than our 3-5s. It should be universal, but maybe it's just jet lag. I'm not sure, but anyway, but Bo has more contact with the GLTA membership.
Yes, ADA is a member of GLTA. And our GLTA sanctioned tournament is the Peach. And like Lynn said, there are different tournaments for similar groups all over the country, but also all over the world. We are one of the first to resume this year, like she said. There's also going to be a tournament, the group in Detroit. They have their Motor City Tennis Classic. That tournament is next month. I'll be actually attending that. I've actually also attended quite a few of these, and I've become very good friends with people all over the country, all over the world, and also have a good connection with the tournament directors. We support each other. The tournaments will have raffles to help support their charities, and people buy raffle tickets at the banquets. And one of the things the tournaments will do is they'll trade free entries for their tennis tournaments. So I've sent one to the folks in Detroit for their raffle, so they can raffle it off, and someone will win a free entry to come to the Peach. So that'll encourage people from the Detroit area to come down and meet some folks and have a good time down here, and then vice versa. So that's one of the ways we stay in touch and try to support each other. It's a world community. It's really nice.
So I'd like to ask one last question to Bo, and that is, where do you see ADA going? Are there any, besides a new tournament or something like that? But is there any overarching goals that the organization has?
Yes, we have the goal of more visibility and more membership. And like I said, our membership has been hampered because of COVID and the lack of the Hooch membership drive. But I think Lynn's kind of hinted, we've not been deterred by any of this. We've had a wonderful group of people that have come up with new ideas. Like she said, Nick Woodbury coming up with the mixed doubles events. And I think some of these things that we have done, for example, last year we couldn't have the Peach, but we still had a Zoom US Open viewing party that doubled as a fundraiser for our charity. And we ended up raising just as much money as we normally did, even without the Peach. I think we probably will, some of these creative ideas, we want to keep those. There's no reason to get rid of with the improv that we did during COVID, because everything was so popular. I think our members they were very receptive to the new ideas we had, but they also want as Lynn said, they want our same old stuff that everyone loves to come back. So we're looking to resume open play very soon. Fortunately, CDC guidance is conducive to that. We'll have the Hooch again next year, but we also, like I said, we want to be more visible as a whole and have our membership go up. I think I don't think there's any ceiling to that. And also, one of our goals, we actually became a nonprofit just a few years ago, and that has done wonders for our fundraising efforts. We've been able to give back more to the community, and our designated charity for the last few years has been Lost and Found Youth, and we have a very close tie to them now. And I think Lynn is probably the best person to tell you more about them and why we're always so excited to have them, have a relationship with them, because we think they're a wonderful group, and it gives everybody a good feeling to know that that's who we're supporting with our efforts as well as our members.
Yeah, Lynn, why don't you wrap things up by telling us more about that charity?
Yes, Lost and Found Youth is an organization in Atlanta that helps the homeless LGBT youth ages 13 to 25. And in Georgia, families are still routinely kicking their children out the house, disowning their children, just putting them out when the children come out to the parents. And it's a tragedy when we see homeless on the streets. We see them at the exit ramps. We see homeless, in our travels. Up to half of them are identifying as LGBT. It's a tragedy. And so I think we raised $2,000 Labor Day, and then the organization matched an additional $2,000 that we gave to Lost and Found Youth. This is the third year in a row that they're our charity. Prior to, I guess, 2018, we always had a charity, but maybe it would vary year to year. And the amount we were able to give would vary, but this is something we're doing consistently. We're building the relationship. We host events where we bring them food and cooked meals and cases of water and this and that. And we think of them as, our younger brothers and sisters, really. There's no way to look at it except for they are us, but for the grace of God. And so it's been a very rewarding experience. When I speak to our membership about it, people come to me with, very touching stories, and by and large, people know about Lost and Found. They want to know how they can get involved. So it's been a very rewarding relationship.
Well, that's great to hear, and obviously that whole idea of that charity that you're concentrating on is a very worthy cause. But I'd like to say thank you to Bo and Lynn. You've been fantastic, and it's so great to spread the word about your community, not only ADA, but the LGBT community, not only in Atlanta, but throughout the world. So thank you so much. Playing tennis.
Thank you
for your time. It's nice to meet you, Ron.
Yes, we appreciate this very much, Ron. Thank you so much.
Right.